What up, everybody? It's Monday with Mr. Vince. We back at you. Today's episode is about polymaths, and you might be asking, what is a polymath? Well, a polymath is somebody who knows a whole bunch of different stuff about a whole bunch of different things. And there's some that I really appreciate. For instance, Patricia Bath. How about, W.E.B. Du Bois? I also like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Let's bring it more to present day. Or Jamie Foxx. Certainly a polymath. And of course, the great Toni Morrison. These are all great polymaths. But oftentimes I think we refer to folks like Leonardo da Vinci or Benjamin Franklin, Sir Isaac Newton, maybe even Aristotle as polymaths. And they are. All of the people that I've mentioned have made wonderful contributions to our world. But there are some others. How about my friend, Tyler? He's a big inspiration to me. So let's get to know him. Hey Tyler, how long have you been locking for?
I think 2 years now.
2 years now?
Whenever Drew started teaching class was when I started.
Okay, dope. And
I believe that was around Christmas 2 years ago.
What has made you gravitate to locking?
Well, first of all, Drew
Okay.
is a big part of it.
Yes.
And when Drew dances, I want to do that.
Yeah.
More than with anything else.
Yeah.
And I think it's the dance that feels most like my personality, the most, it's silly, it's shy, it's show-offy.
Yeah.
And it's just joyful. And so I've basically loved it from the first class that I ever had.
And you can even identify with the music even though it's not of our current generation.
I love the music.
Okay.
Well, I grew up in the Bay Area, and a lot of this like
That funk.
hip-hop
Oh yeah.
that was popular at the time was sampling a lot of the music
Oh yeah.
that we danced to, and so it doesn't feel so far removed.
Oh yeah.
I'm from the Bay where we hyphy and go dump. From the soil where them rappers be getting they lingo from. Ooh.
Tell me when to go.
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 That's a great way to look at it.
It feels like stuff I grew up with, even though it's not the exact same songs. It's just the samples.
No, I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that. And then it makes it so that locking gives you an ability to connect even more deeply with those sounds
Yes.
in a meaningful way.
Yes. And
And the hip hop that uses it now doesn't have the tonality or character of funk, because hip hop can be a little bit
yeah, it's drawn from all over the place.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I don't know.
I interrupted you. Bad interviewer.
Maybe I was just gonna say that the first style that I really gravitated towards was Lindy Hop and like solo jazz, which is even further removed in time.
Yeah, of
But
course.
I grew up liking jazz music.
Yes.
Liking Fats Waller, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's dope.
And some of those like original dancers from like the Lindy Hop Savoy Ballroom era were some of the people that I first had this feeling of like, oh, I want to move like that.
Yeah.
But I just didn't realize that I could like, people would teach me. And
How do you unlock those abilities if it's something that you haven't had growing up, like and it's not just something that you're learning from family and friends and kind of having an organic kind of development inside those movement traditions? Like how do you adapt your body, or like is it just purely that you're interested in it and you just pursue and train? Like how's it work?
Step one, find a teacher who's one of the best in the world at the dance style.
And who might that be?
That's Riot. That's Drew.
That's right. Let's go. Hood lockers.
And then step two, get obsessed.
Okay. Yes.
Step three, get locked inside your house for months on end and just spend a lot of time with the mirror.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. That's how you learn to dance.
That's how you learn dance.
Yeah. There you go. What do you do when you're not dancing?
like to ride my skateboard.
Mm-hmm.
This is my fresh new skateboard that I just put on.
Yep.
I'm a amateur skateboarding teacher.
Yes.
You might know this because you're my student.
Yes.
Uh,
And it's going quite well.
It's going great. You're learning fast. Yeah, I love to skateboard. And I like to try to convince people that they should be socialists.
Yes, there you go.
Something you also know.
Yes, I do know that.
Yeah.
I haven't yet fully been convinced, but
You should be a socialist.
yeah, but it's working.
It's better.
We're getting there. We're
Yeah.
getting there. Now, like I'm really into polymaths and people who are eclectic. And so, what do you do to make money as your profession? Because you're obviously an athlete and artist between the dance and the skating.
Oh, I received my stipend for my work as a graduate student,
Okay.
where I study decision-making behavior in rats
Yeah.
while doing electrophysiology, where we record from their brains with wires and try to make statements about how the neurons are communicating and making their behavior happen.
Say something super technical that the general person watching this wouldn't be able to understand.
Something super technical.
Yeah, or like maybe talk
Just
about an
A
instrument.
bunch of stupid jargon that's just confusing for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. Well, one thing I study is sharp wave ripples.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Sharp wave
Originate-
ripples.
Sharp wave ripples originate in CA3, it seems,
Yeah.
and propagate into CA1, and are oscillations at roughly 300 hertz. It's a wide frequency band, but it includes 300 hertz. And it seems that the neurons that are in the assemblies that are having these sharp wave ripple events fire in sequences that correspond to the sequences that are progressed through while the animal experiences the real world. While the animals, for example, running around, a sequence of cells might fire, and then during the sharp wave ripple events, they might fire in the same sequence, even though the animal is sitting still. How's that?
That's incredible. All I wanted to do was make everybody go duh and just hear words.
Just words.
Yeah, and that's what, but that's cool. But I think dance can be that too. I think that the general public can just watch movement and really just have it wash over them.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, what's the equivalent of a sharp wave ripple and locking? You know, like what somebody might see as just a dancer being spontaneous and loose and you know, impulsive is far from that for the dancer. The dancer is much more technical and structured and intentional in his or her approach.
Right. There's these foundational movements that actually can be quite protracted, like a skeeter rabbit, which is a whole sequence of events. And to somebody watching, they might just think, wow, that person sure is moving in an interesting and complicated way. But to the locker, you're going to say, oh, that's a skeeter rabbit. And then maybe there's something crazy happening with arms or legs or some variation, and you go, oh, that's a variation on the skeeter rabbit.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to something about innovation that is just as true in dance as it is in science, which is, you kind of take everything that's available and then you just add a little bit to it or change it in slight ways. And then from an outsider's perspective, it looks like you've invented this entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
But really, you just made these little tweaks.
Yes.
And creativity looks really mind-blowing and impossible to understand until you realize, oh, that person studied watch out for dog, an existing.
Did I hit it?
No, you got it.
All right, good.
An existing body of knowledge and work, and they've incorporated that into their own knowledge and just built so slightly from that.
Yeah. Yo, that's dope. So here's my last question. Is there really any, like some people like myself like to imagine that having a balanced life between physical pursuits, intellectual pursuits, having a number of different hard pursuits, hard problems that are happening in the day-to-day experience provides for a richer life. Would you say there's any validity to that? Like I would assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if you And most others who are, let's say, working at a technical science like you, let's just imagine that that's all that they do, and there's not much variance in their other activities in life, right? Could we assume that that person is fully maximizing and optimizing their life energy, their life force by being inside that container? Or are we better off in situations where, hey, maybe I'm a runner and a climber and some sort of computer engineer, and I don't know, make some sense or completely like break down what I'm trying to like force upon you. Like, it might not work. It might not work.
Well, I don't want to say that I know how it works best for other people, but I think we have a tendency to talk about our little activities like they're zero sum. We got our career, and to the extent that we do, I don't know, say socialist organizing or dancing, that takes away time from our career. Or maybe, whatever you want to, however you want to order it. And in some ways, that is true because our careers are exhausting. These things tire us out. But I think if you get just focused on one thing, for me, I can lose steam a lot more easily, actually. When I first started dancing, when I first started doing socialist organizing, in both cases, I found a whole new source of energy, like a reservoir that I wasn't tapping because I was doing something that felt important and gave me life. And when I just, focus on one thing, maybe it works out okay for a while, but then you just get burnt out. So for me, I have to have multiple things that I'm focusing on.
Active rest, maybe?
Yes.
We could perceive it as that?
Active rest, yeah. When I'm knocking doors and talking to someone about why they deserve to have healthcare regardless of their financial circumstances, I'm taking a rest from my academic work, but I'm not just zoning out. I'm doing something that makes me feel like, maybe there's some meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a question for you. So, and this is actually the last question. Okay, this is really going to help all of the aspiring dancers. What's the difference between us, trying to establish socialist-like programs versus an actual system of socialism as a government? Like, don't you in some ways fear the potential of Mao China?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's what I fear.
We're good.
We're good? Okay. Right.